The New York Police Department, they are putting cameras on light poles outside the courthouse in anticipation of what could happen.
So it is apparently happening. Trump could be arrested today. I mean, it's not like there's no other reason to potentially be putting up extra surveillance around courthouses in New York, but it was one thing when it was just Trump bleeding on social, on True Central, that he was gonna be arrested. But no, it's kind of looking like that. We're hearing that the Secret Service and the NYPD are talking about how to manage the actual arrest. So there's something actually to this potentially. Now, just in case you are a well-adjusted human who did not spend your weekend on Truth Social, here is what launched a lot of discussion. Among other things, I'm not reading all of these, by the way. There's like a million things you put up there. I'm gonna read you the important ones. It's time. We're a nation in steep decline, being led into World War III by a cricket politician who doesn't even know he's alive. I think he knows he's alive. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, blah, 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 lots of different stuff. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest. And so that was one of several different messages. Altogether, it's, I'm gonna be arrested. Y'all need to get out there and do a January 6th as a treat. Raise some hell, kill some people, whatever you wanna do. And look, obviously we're gonna be talking a lot about how this appears to be a call for another mob riot situation. But like initially, he left himself a little bit of weasel room where, no, I'm just calling for protest or whatever. But he put out this message saying, can you imagine the great New York City's police department, correctly referred to as New York City's finest, who for the first and only time in history endorsed the president, me, and honored me as man of the year, having to defend and protect the defunders and cop haters of the radical left. They want to put their greatest champion and friend in prison for a crime that doesn't exist. Well, first of all, the crime exists. You may not have committed it, but it is still a crime. Anyway, all the while a Soros-backed DA allows murderers and other blah, blah, blahs. What he is saying there is, can you imagine how crazy it would be if these cops who love me, and they should, because New York City cops aren't the cops that he told a mob to kill, so they don't have as much reason as DC cops to have an issue with him. Why are they going to defend leftists? He's literally messaging to say, the people who are supposed to maintain law and order when my mob is in the streets shouldn't defend the DA, counter protesters, leftists. Just let them run wild. That is what he is calling for there, Francesca. And it is crazy that we're supposed to act as if this isn't all 100% explicit.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the NYPD, they are trash, and I could absolutely see them not trying to arrest Donald Trump at the DA's behest. All right, they have a long history. I believe their police union endorsed Donald Trump for president, and they have a very long history of only doing the bidding of Republican mayors, and I happen to have been arrested in New York City by the NYPD under a Republican mayor back in the day. Shout out to RNC 2004 arrestees, mass arrests in that city.
Nice.
But yeah, so there's part of me that's like, ugh, but that's exactly what he's doing. He's basically like, hey, can I call in this favor, number one? Two, I mean, this is next level, right? This is like, he's getting all the conch shells together and you know, like the signals, the whatever, the bat signals, all of it. And if only his supporters weren't already facing charges for January 6th and have like ankle monitors, and you know, some of them are like having to eat mush in prison for 2 months or whatever. But you know, just a cursory look at what the response has been from his supporters, and like the Donald Reddit, right, or 8chan, I don't know where that is at this point. They're going nuts. Like they're like, yeah, you know, it's let's do this again, baby. 1776, 2021. I don't know what. Let's go.
Isn't it crazy that like we could have, if we had known that January 6th was going to come, we could have told them that his like claims that he was going to defend them, spring them from jail or whatever, weren't going to be true. But like it's already happened. He didn't help them. Why would you go into the streets again? But I don't have any doubt that they will. New people, there will, if big protests happen, and who's to say, these things are impossible to predict. There will almost certainly be some people who have already spent time in prison from January 6th that know that the best you can hope for in terms of support is Marjorie Greene to tweet about you and then to go back to calling you Antifa. That's all that you can hope for. But some they'll always be there to lay down their freedom and their lives to protect a guy who would rather spit on them than sit next to them on a bus. Like I said, I'm not gonna read all, there was a lot of all caps bleats, but there was one more that I just think is funny, because this is what he's thinking about and typing as he's cruising towards potentially being at least briefly detained. I don't think they're not gonna hold him for like 6 months or anything. He says this, I'm not reading this whole thing, but it goes on, we no longer set the standard sets us. Our so-called leader does nothing except eat, sleep, and I'm gonna say poop. Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? Which is either a reference to him previously knowing Joe DiMaggio, which he apparently did, or maybe he thinks Joe DiMaggio is president. I think they're equally likely at this point. But anyway,
no, it's a song.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, well, no wonder I don't get it then. It's a reference to some musical production.
Is it? Yeah, exactly. Is it Simon and Garfunkel? Like, where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? Jesus loves you more than you will know.
Yeah, no, I get that. Why would you be referencing
to jail, that? Donald J. Trump. There gonna be so many cameras on you.
You know,
I don't know.
Normally Matt's the one in your couple who does the musical comedy. Yes, but that wasn't bad. Why is he referencing that? Is because it evokes like an earlier, more innocent America or something?
No idea. Someone in the chat will know.
You know, a more innocent time when you could get away with hush money payments to cover up an affair. But anyway, look, we're gonna hear a lot more from him, and a case could be made that we know everything about his psychology from the fact that these are all caps bleats that he's sending out in the middle of the night. But I also did want to mention, I don't generally like having to talk about Maggie Haberman, but she says he's aware that there are reasons to believe this could help him politically, which we're gonna debate a little bit later on. We've heard a lot about this morning already, but he does not want to face getting arrested, which is what happens when you get indicted. You get fingerprinted, you get brought in, you have to ask for bail. None of that is something that he's excited about. There could be, let's bear this in mind, a mugshot.
No, so let's be real. He will not let himself be dragged out of Mar-a-Lago. But like that, I don't.
So he won't surrender?
No. I'm saying he's gonna surrender because he does not want.
Oh, sure.
To number one, have to be dragged in and arrested actually in his home. Number two, if that happens in Florida, if he's in Mar-a-Lago, then Ron DeSantis would have to basically give the okay to extradite him, which is definitely not what he wants, extradite him to New York. That would be just, and DeSantis is like, oh please. Or not, because that dude is not taking any opportunities here. So he will absolutely turn himself in. Yes, the formal charges, it might even be, like he won't be facing prison, even if he is convicted, blah, 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 blah,
no, he'll be fine. He'll
be fine. But the mugshot, just getting that mugshot. Like what face do you think he's gonna make, And will he, and this is my guess, be holding up the okay white power sign? Because that's what I think he'd do.
I think he needs to make a quick play to join a cool gang in prison, so I could see him doing that. As fun as the mugshot would be, and it would save a lot of people the trouble of like you constantly see the Photoshop Trump mugshots. I hate when people do that sort of thing. Stop pretending that something exists when it doesn't. But the only thing better than that shot would be the shot if he ever ended up in prison, like 2 months in. He doesn't have his hair person. He doesn't have his tanning bed. Yes. He doesn't have his orange makeup applier.
So pale.
What his face would look like. Anyway, but I want to be clear. I'm not enjoying this in any way. I am an upstanding news analyst. I only care about this for the substance. Anyway.
No, but it's very much like if there was like someone vain in Shawshank and they were like, how do I make clay out of this concrete, to like, bronze up my face. And that's what we did back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
He'll be smearing something on his face.
He will.
to add a little bit of color, I guess.